I want to visit with you today about the life cycle. We talk about Vision Quest, Wild Heart Quests as being a little bit of death. And to shed some light on what that might mean for us, I want to tell you a story. One I heard when I was very young and written about on several occasions. Once we were all in the eternal circle of the beyond. Every form of life that ever existed and will exist and currently exists inside the circle of life. And in the cycle, each one of us has a moment when we decide to come in a dense form in Mother Earth, within Mother Earth. And upon that decision, several phases happen. One is we decide what family, what locale, what eco field we're going to be in. And all of these decisions relate to an assignment that we're given by the eternal circle of consciousness. And this assignment has to do how we can expand our own consciousness within a dense form of a human body and bring that expansion and learning back to the eternal circle. And so the time comes when the larger beloved Creator invites us to select an ally to be at our left shoulder throughout our earth walk. And so that ally, a winged creature, a plant, a wolf, a bear, the wind, that ally is there throughout our earth walk. And the time comes for us to incarnate, to take the form of consciousness that we have in the eternal circle and incarnate through a biological mother into Mother Earth. But just before we make that journey from the eternal circle of beyond to the eternal circle of the earth, the beloved Creator touches us right below the nose. And as that touch touches us with the fingerless finger, we forget everything that we've learned about the assignment. And boom, we step through the door. So you may have heard me use that phrase, the big door. I use that phrase instead of our usual phrase of death, because death is just a word describing this life cycle. And the door swings both ways. So from the eternal circle of the beyond, the door swings into the dense form of the earth. And we begin our earth walk. And our earth walk is in the service of learning what we can learn. Now, we bring with us from many other life cycles unfinished tasks that sometimes called karma. But these unfinished tasks are not punishment, but rather opportunities for us to learn. And sometimes, maybe even often, suffering is involved, unpleasantness is involved. And each of these challenging phases of our life cycle is given to us in order for us to learn more and to bring back eventually the gift that we have to give to the eternal circle of the beyond. And what is that gift? That gift is our own capacity to expand and learn as we go through the challenges. And that really is the so-called last judgment in this story. So I want to tell you a few insights I've had over my lifetime, just a few. So it's not theory or anything I've read anywhere so much as what I've experienced. And it may fit for you, may not. But I'll reference here our experience with Judith and Gary and Carmen and Jerry Strickland and others as they've stepped through the big door the other way. The first, I'd say, learning I've had or sense I've had is that when we step through the big door, let's say when Judith stepped through the big door, she left behind the density of her body. And that's a form of consciousness. We all know that our bodies are wonderful learning experiences. And they themselves are not separate, but forms of consciousness. But she left behind that form of consciousness. And as she stepped through the door, a journey began that we sometimes speak of as going to the White Mountain and the Milky Way and beyond. And that's a metaphorical way, perhaps a practical way, of talking about the journey that gets larger and larger, more expanded and more expanded. And in this expanded form of consciousness, the person who steps through the door becomes more and more tuned in to the reality that the beloved Creator, the beloved Redeemer Healer, the beloved Presence is present in all forms of consciousness. But in the more dense forms, it's harder for us to be aware of that. In the more expanded forms, all kinds of possibilities open up. And I'll tell you just one or two. One is that in the earth walk that Judith and I had, we had a very powerful relationship. Our relationship was one of our primary means of consciousness and learning. But in that, there were very firm boundaries around that relationship, as many of you know. And in that sense, we both had this feeling of that we were soulmates, and in some ways, on the dark side, maybe possessive. On the light side, very tuned in and committed. But as she has stepped into the expanded state, I've had a sense of how no longer do we have that relationship. Now I have a relationship with the expanded cosmic Judith. And that means, among other things, that she has a relationship with her former husband who died in a car accident when they were young. That she has a relationship with all kinds of people, forms of consciousness that I don't even know about. But at the same time, we have this precious link where I am in a dense form of consciousness in my earth walk, and I have something to offer to her and to Gary and to Carmen, and they have something to offer to me. It's actually kind of a miracle that in the expanded forms of consciousness, our loved ones can both be present, ever present, in all aspects of the universe, while at the same time having the ability to hone in with us with dreams and sometimes voices and sometimes olfactory experiences. I'll close with this. Just after my wonderful mother, biological mother, Juanita, stepped through the big door, I was asleep one night and I woke up to the incredibly beautiful smell of a yeast roll that she cooked. And she's really one of the only people I've known that could cook these rolls like this, because she didn't have a recipe. She put this in and that in, and she knew just what to put in. And as I woke up that night, in the middle of the night, I could smell those rolls cooking. So much so that I got up out of the bed, I walked into the kitchen and opened the oven to see if there were some rolls cooking. And I can't imagine, particularly at Thanksgiving and this time of the year when I love those rolls, I can't imagine a better gift from the expanded mother to the dense William in his body form to take in this beautiful, beautiful gift. And so this is a time of Advent when we think about the beloved coming to earth. It's a time when you and I have come to walk the earth, and you and I are the beloved. You and I are the Advent. You and I are the redeemers. You and I are the peacemakers. We, you and I, are the ones we have been waiting for. Aho.